facing by providing training, strategy, and the support needed to go and share the good news of Jesus. Over the next 7 years, we plan to send 7 teams to 7 strategic places throughout the world that have little or no gospel presence. And we believe God is calling a generation to go, to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to love, serve, and tell those who have never heard his name that there is a God who loves them deeply and wants to make himself known to them. It is possible for you to help open a closed country to the gospel. And if God's calling you to go, we're ready to help you get there.
Let me pursue a tangent and just say that Paul Davis became the president of ABW. He started his 8th year. Thank you. And he came from the pastor, a 30-year pastor in Holland, Michigan. And he's very pastoral in how he leads a mission agency that now has grown to 1,000 missionaries in 84 countries around the world. And I highly respect and appreciate him. He's just provided tremendous godly leadership. He's well-traveled. He's a fantastic speaker. He's a visionary. He's a compassionate leader. And God really gifted us with both him and his wife, Martha. And now I'll get back on track. The Open Initiative strategy is there for you. It is to target unreached people groups with the gospel. I've mentioned that word half a dozen times already, and this puts a definition to it. When you think or talk about unreached people groups, these are people that most of them do not have the Bible translated into their language. There are very few, if any, Christians among them, and they have few to no churches that they could attend even if they wanted to. That's an unreached people group. That's the strategy, but the underlying motive is just as important, and that is to ignite Great Commission action among our constituency. And our constituency includes ABW missionaries. It includes partners supporting churches. It includes nationals around the world that work alongside of our ABW missionary teams. And so it's to ignite Great Commission thinking. And one of the things that I'm most pleased with as I evaluate the past 16 months, we have the 6 target people groups that I'll introduce here momentarily. But in addition to that, there are residential ministry teams that they've peeled back the blinders, their eyes have been opened to unreached peoples that are living in proximity to them. And I could spend the entire 30 to 40 minutes here talking about giving illustrations of dynamic ministry that's not a part of the Open Initiative, but it's unreached people group work that our residential teams are now doing, largely in part because of the awareness that's been raised. Very, very pleased with that in answer to prayer. Unreached people groups are the next frontier for global missions. The GPS marker, that's crucial. For every 30 missionaries that are sent out, on average, across the board, different types of mission organizations, one missionary goes to the outreach. 1 in every 30, 3 in every 100. That is deplorable, and that has to change. When the Lord of the harvest gave the authoritative commission, Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 and 20, the Great Commission actually starts up in verse 18 when Jesus said, all authority has been entrusted unto me in heaven and on earth. Now, you don't make a statement like that without having a follow-up prepared. All authority has been given unto me in heaven on earth. Go ye therefore, based on that authority, and make disciples of most of the nations in the world. Make disciples of nations that will give you a missionary visa to do Christian work. Go to nations represented by low-hanging fruit that is ready to be harvested. No. Go and make disciples of all nations. All nations. That includes unreached people groups. 130 just isn't going to get it done. Now, ABWE, that stat happens to be about 15 out of every 100. Not 3 out of every 100, but 15 out of every 100. 15% of the ABWE workforce is directly living among and working with unreached people groups, and yet we want to bump that number even higher. A third of humanity has never heard the name of Jesus, and our bullet banner out there puts a number to it, 3.14 billion people yet to be unreached. 42% of the world's population lived in closed countries. I don't even use that word. That's not in my vocabulary. You can't just unfold a wall map and label this country as closed and mark it off with a black X. The gospel of Jesus Christ and the Great Commission demands more creativity than that. I refer to them as creative access or restricted access countries. There's ways to get there. We'll be illustrating that. We can't simply write them off as closed countries. So what are those initial 6 people groups? Well, they're pictured there in their culture, and we'll identify them one by one. Again, the strategy is to target unreached people groups. The underlying motive to energize that is to ignite Great Commission action among our constituency. There are the 6 current ones on a world map, and we'll begin to look at them one by one. Now, the first that I want to highlight is the Fulani, and you see that it's in sub-Saharan and West Africa. The Fulani number 45 million people. They are the world's largest nomadic people group. They are herdsmen. They range across 19 different sub-Saharan countries looking for grass and water for their herds. They are literally a moving target. They are 99.5% Muslim. Their expression of Islam is folk Islam, meaning it's mingled with a lot of superstition and animism. ABWE, about a decade ago, launched the Hospital of Hope in North Togo, right on the coast in West Africa. They are in direct proximity to a number of Fulani, and the first fruits among the Fulani have really been reaped through the ministry of the Hospital of Hope. Just last November, through patient care and contact with relatives, there was an entire family of 5, Fulani family of 5, that put their faith in Jesus Christ. That was seriously tested within their community. And there have been a number of times over the last 5 months when they have held their ground, stood tall, very compassionately, lovingly confessed themselves as Christians. It is amazing what the Lord is beginning to do to crack that door open. And I've got more to say about that later on this afternoon. The second field that I want to highlight is the first of 3 that are in Asia, and it is in South Asia. This hasn't been recording or put online, so I'm going to identify it specifically as Pakistan. Pakistan is a very difficult country to get into. You can get in openly as a Christian, certainly not as a missionary. There is a difference between the two. Our team members openly identify as a Christian. They do not use the M word. They enter Pakistan through various platforms. In other words, they deliver needs and services that the Pakistani government desires and will give you work visas to accomplish, but they're not there because of their job. They are there with a platform, and they do deliver their platform. That's the quickest way to get kicked out of the country, to say you're going to do it and not do it well. And the platforms would be business-related, medical or educational services, or community development. Those are the 4. In the past 16 months, now in our fourth relationship with a Pakistani Christian. One couple is actually doing Christian studies, Bible school studies in the Philippines, in Manila. Another one is here in the United States. He finished an aviation degree and then went to Dallas Theological Seminary to get training. He married a young lady from North Carolina. He's planning to go back and open a tourism business using his aviation skills, but entirely motivated by the gospel and by making disciples in Pakistan. This is the Pakistani national, and there are two others beyond that. Those are rich relationships. Those are absolutely vital to be able to field a few Westerners that work alongside of them in these countries. But it's a very complex nation. 800 different distinct people groups within Pakistan, layers of civilization. It's been in the news a lot lately. You understand how troubled the place on earth it is. Again, 99% Muslim. The next one, this one may surprise you. I've given a definition to it, and yet I'm showing you that one of our areas is the Caribbean. And if you're thinking, if that lunch isn't taking control, right, we're ready for that. If you're thinking through that, you wonder, the Caribbean, you gotta be kidding, there's lots of churches in the Caribbean, and I would have to agree with that, yes. There are lots of churches in the Caribbean, so why is that on our list? Here's the answer. Because of the 1.5 million currently, and the number is rising, Buddhists, Hindus, and Muslims that are pouring into the Caribbean. That's our target group, not the mainline islander. We have other ADW missionaries all throughout the Caribbean that are reaching them. But the Caribbean is made up of 28 distinct countries, 700 islands, but just behind the pristine allure of sandy beaches are a number of lost, unengaged, and unreached peoples. That sadly, the church in the Caribbean, they've not only ignored them, it's worse than that, they're insulating themselves from them. And over the past 16 months, we've done a lot of work. I was in Jamaica just a month and a half ago to raise awareness of the responsibility to be witnesses among these immigrated people groups that are living right in proximity to them. The history of the Caribbean region, it's a fascinating study. You've got the indigenous people groups, you've got waves of colonization, first of all by the Spanish. Columbus sighted the islands in 1494 on his second voyage. They began to send Spanish colonizers there in 1509, endured for the next century and a half until it transitioned to British control. Still colonized, just a different master at that point. Where did these Hindu peoples come from? Africa left many indelible marks up on the Caribbean because of slavery. But in 1834, 30 years before slavery was abolished in this country, 1834, slavery was abolished in the Caribbean. And yet the plantation owners and the mine operators, and those two industries are where most of the slaves worked, how are they going to get the work done? And so they began to import, they changed the words just to step up from slavery, indentured servants from India. And that's why there's a huge Hindu-Indian population in the islands today. Now they go as business people or relatives that are actually immigrating there. But I was in Jamaica, in addition to providing training using Heart, Mind, and Soul, that's a curriculum on how to connect with Hindus, how to understand them, how to share the gospel with them. In addition to that training, we had some meetings at, I don't think it's the next slide, it's later on, at the All-American Medical School of Health Sciences. It's in Black River, Jamaica. They have about 250 students. These are all students that are pursuing pharmaceutical, nursing, surgical, medical, general practice degrees in the healthcare industry. 80% of them are Indian in Jamaica. 80% of them. I'll show a picture of our visit to campus here in just a moment. It's in our prayer letter too. You may have already seen some of those, but that's why the Caribbean is on the list. The fifth is Japan. This is the second of 3 that are in Asia, and you might say that's a little imbalanced, 3 of the 6. It's not imbalanced when you consider 60% of the world's population is on the Asian continent. It's actually right where it should be. ABWE has a 70-year history of ministry in Japan, but it's been down on the southwesternmost island of Kyushu. So fantastic ministry there that I had the privilege of overseeing in the last 24 years. Never have we had a presence in the national capital region. So when I say Japanese, I'm specifically talking about Tokyo and the 6 surrounding prefectures right around the national capital region. Within those 6 prefectures or states, you have 43 million people, well more than a third of the Japanese population, including the influential decision makers in the nation of Japan. It's a beautiful country, very hospitable people. It's high degree of literacy and education, job opportunities. It's an international city. A lot of other unreached people groups are there working in Tokyo. And yet most Japanese have never met another Christian. They do not own a Bible and they don't have a church. That's the definition of unreached peoples. If they were interested in going to one. Here's the clincher. Japanese is, and this may surprise you, Japanese are the second largest unreached people group in the world today. Again, 2% or less. Second highest, surpassed only by Bengalis in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan. While we were overseeing Japan from the year 2010 until 2020, very difficult to mobilize missionaries for Japan. That's a tough sell. And you understand why. High cost of living, so it's a high support requirement. Very difficult language and complex culture to adapt. And thirdly, while it's a very gracious nation, very resistant to conversion to biblical Christianity. Their indigenous religions are Buddhism, Shintoism, but the real clincher is ancestor worship. That's the stumbling block for Japanese to profess faith in Jesus Christ. What will happen to my ancestors? So it's the second largest unreached people group in the world. Difficult to mobilize. In that decade between 2010 and 2020, there was one couple that was recruited and sent to Japan by BWE for some reasons I'm not going to share. Legitimate reasons for them to return. That family was in Japan only 2 years. They were actually still in language school and had to return and resign. So we had 0 net appointed to Japan in 10 years. Since we launched the Open Initiative 3 years ago, 15 have been appointed to Japan. I tell people that we work hard in research, mobilization, travel. God's blessing and favor on this is outpacing the work that we are putting into it, and that is always a healthy place to be in. When you see God working and outpacing your investment, and that's what's happening in Japan. The fourth are Syrian refugees. This phenomenon started 14 years ago when the civil war broke out. In Syria, 6.8 million Syrians left the country, landing in either the Middle East or all across Europe. Our focus is on those that are in Europe. Of the Syrian refugees that departed their nation because of the conflict, 60% of them have landed in one European country, Germany, which is interesting. Now, Germany is just a little bit off of being an unreached people group. It's 3 to 4% Christian, and yet they have this whole subculture of Syrian refugees that they have allowed to come in and to set up camps and to live there. And so Syrian refugees, 6.8 million in Europe and the Middle East. Another 6.7 million have been displaced within Syria. In other words, they fled their homes, they fled their jobs. You put those numbers together, you've got 13.5 million distressed, downcast people that have been historically very difficult to reach, very reachable because of their circumstances. Through humanitarian services, yes, but that is coupled with the gospel, with disciple making, and with church planting that's going to look very differently than what we're enjoying here today, but by necessity given their context. Story gets better because our lead team leader, church planter couple is going to be leaving for Berlin, Germany in 2 weeks. They've raised their support, and JP and Amber Day, together with their children, are going to be departing here in just a couple of weeks. I'll show you a picture of them here momentarily. We're up to number 5, I believe. No, this is the last one. Southeast Asia, and again, because it's not recorded, we can identify it as Malaysia. Malaysia is a very interesting nation. We've always had traditional ABW missionaries in Malaysia, so we have traveled there a number of times. There are Bible colleges in Malaysia, Christian Bible schools. There are publishing houses. There is a huge MK school in Dalat International School in Penang, Malaysia. There's Christian radio in Malaysia. The Malaysian Constitution has a tremendous statement. It is stronger than the U.S. Constitution on religious freedom and expression of it in Malaysia. And you think, well, then it's a Muslim majority country, only marginally so, 60% Malay Muslim. And the government is intent on maintaining that majority percentage, as slim as it is. It is illegal, despite other groups. Chinese church is huge in Malaysia. Philippine church, very large. Vietnamese church, large in Malaysia. But the quickest way to get kicked out of there as a Christian worker is to target the Malay Muslim. And guess who our target group is? We just added another couple 2 weeks ago to our team there. We have 9 residential ABW missionaries with the Open Initiative in Malaysia. And that number is going to continue to grow. We have 3 separate business platforms. I don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. And there's no communication between them so that they can't be tracked and linked to one another. But 3 different ones. I'll share just one with you. Any of you enjoy professional baseball, and are you acquainted with the name Paul Goldschmidt? He is an all-star first baseman. He formerly played for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think he's been traded and playing for somebody, but he's a perennial all-star. Paul Goldschmidt travels to Kuala Lumpur annually, at least once a year, to do swing tests on bats that are being manufactured in Malaysia. I've got to get the kind of wood. I don't have the answer to the question. There's a certain kind of tree that is produced and harvested there that is perfect for designing Major League Baseball quality bats. And Goldschmidt, all-star first baseman, is the one that goes out there for swing tests. All right, our team members got connected with some Christians that are in that corporation. Our newest arrival, we'll show you an image here in a moment, Riley Pitts, played baseball for California Baptist University. He's a great baseball player. He's got connected with these guys. His visa is going to be through this company doing research and design and producing baseball bats that are of major league quality, and he is there as a missionary. That's what I'm talking about. Various business platforms that gain an entrance to a company or a country that wouldn't even think about giving you a religious worker's visa. But he will take his job seriously while doing evangelism, discipleship, and church planting as his primary focus. All right, a major component of the strategy of the Open Initiative is to enlist what we call anchor churches. These are churches that are really excited about mobilizing for unreached people groups. There's a high degree of commitment to praying, to sending. They commit to sending 5 to 10 from their church to the people group that they adopt. Now that can be short-term ministry, it can be long-term career missionary service. But 5 to 10 sends. And thirdly, in addition to support of their missionaries, they commit to $20,000 per year for the general fund of that field team ministry, in addition to supporting their missionaries. So over a 7-year commitment, that's $140,000 times 7 fields, that's $1 million project. Here to date, we have 6 people groups that we're working among. 3 of them already have anchor churches. that have committed to that, praying, sending on that level, giving on that level. 2 of the 3 are supporting churches, of course. One is Washington Heights Baptist Church in Dayton, Ohio, that has adopted the Japanese. Second, supporting church, Spring Creek Church in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, just outside of Milwaukee, has adopted the mainland Muslim in Malaysia as an anchor church. Thirdly, Westbridge Church in Danville, Indiana, another supporting church of ours, has adopted the Caribbean. The ABWA regional director overseeing the Caribbean is sent from that church. Gary Crawford worked for the Ameritech Corporation before they became missionaries. He is just wired as a strategic thinker. And Gary and Marty do tremendous work. The pictures in our last prayer letter have Gary and Marty. We traveled to Jamaica together with them and with the missions chairman of their church because they are the anchor church. And we worked with churches, provided training, and visited that medical school that I told you about. But that is a key component. We've got to find anchor churches for the other 6. I just mentioned that. They impact, there's actually 2 levels. There's a partnership level and anchor church level, different degrees of commitment. But again, on the anchor church, to pray, to give, to send. All right. I just put this up. Ashley Soar, standing beside President Davis. And by the way, that's the couple that we passed the baton to in our former role. That's Ray and Catherine Hens. Intentionally mentored them for over 2 years for the role. They had no idea what I was doing for the first year and a half. All he knew is, wow, he's giving me a lot of assignments and sending me to different places. And why is he coming to China to visit us so often? And that's where they served for a decade. And because I didn't want to tell them what I was doing at the outset, I just felt that's the kiss of death. So I did it very subvertly. Interestingly, their home church knew exactly what I was doing long before they were doing it. And so they're in the role now, and Ashley is a vivacious young lady, very serious about the gospel. And she's our newest appointee to Japan. There is JP and Amber Day, the couple that's facing you. That was taken just in January. They were with me at Saylorville Church in Des Moines, Iowa. That's the couple that's 2 weeks away from departing for Berlin, Germany, to work among Syrian refugees. And that's the baseball player from California Baptist University. I love this couple. They are from Riverside Baptist, Redeemer Baptist Church in Riverside, California. And just pure gold. Riley and Elena Pitts, together with their 2 kids, Ransom and Macy. And they departed for Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, just earlier this year. They've been on the field just a couple months. Tremendous couple. When I prayed to the Lord for more labors in obedience to Matthew 9:38, sometimes I put a little asterisk, just like the Pitts. Just give me more of them. They're of that caliber. We do continue to travel a lot. What does that travel look like? Local church engagement, representation of the Open Initiative last June back in the Philippines in Baguio City. Rosalie, there you go. That is the Baguio Cultural Center right there. That's where we met 1,500 Filipinos and Filipino missionaries. There for Asia Pacific Missions Congress. It includes speaking at 24-hour demo, which is a compact one-day event to help people that are interested in missions take the next step. They come to ABW to interact with our leadership. They explore the opportunities. It's a great event. Traveling to cast the vision with our regional teams, that's the upper right-hand corner. And then I love this one, down in the lower right, meet with senior ambassadors. These are ABW retirees. And the guy that does this ministry, his office is right next door to mine. His name's Bob Trout. He's one of my best friends at ABW. Bob is 84, and he doesn't act his age. You would think he was 60, the way he jet sets. He served for 40 years in Colombia, and Bob leads our senior ambassador ministry, and he's always asking me, please go with me. I want you to share about the Open Initiative with our senior ambassadors, who spent an entire ministry on one field. Now, it's them who are asking me, are we putting all the eggs in the unreached basket? In fact, they tell them, no, you've invested, you've got relationships. And then I tell them what's about, and the tears flow. And these are some of the most faithful prayers for the Open Initiative, retired ABW missionaries who serve on one field. In addition to that, one of my favorite parts of the role is to connect with national partners. Ikonai Penny is the Papua New Guinean in the top left corner. This gentleman has a law degree and a journalism degree, dual degree, and he traveled for years with the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea as his personal journalist, writing everything he did, photographing it, documenting it. He is the chairman of our Bible school in Papua New Guinea, and this man is a visionary. He's also a tremendous giver to Christian ministry in Papua New Guinea and to students at GBBC. Next photo to the right. It's upper right. Laser isn't hitting it, but that's Ariel and Ina Abagiano, Filipinos that live in Manila, that has a ministry to resource Christian workers and Bible schools. He's quite the visionary, and he's caught the vision for the Open Initiative. Lower left, probably one of the finest missionary couples ever sent from the Philippines, Ruel and Phoebe Lumilon. The Philippine Fellowship of Churches in 1957 realized that the Great Commission was for them too, and they began to send missionaries. This was one of the more current generation. He could have been the president of PAVE, the Philippine Association of Baptist World Evangelism, but his home church, Bethel Baptist Church, down in the southern part of the Philippines, called him back to shepherd their flock. It's a church of about nearly 1,000. Great guy. And then the Papua New Guinean in the lower right, Solomon Kinamat. I wish you could meet this guy. He looks the part. He is larger than life. He is about to complete a doctorate degree. He has the unique ability to minister and relate in both cultures, Papua New Guinean and Western. He is the heir apparent to become the next president of Baroka Baptist Bible College, and he is committed to train up Papua New Guineans or unreached people for the ministry. So that's just a little snippet, illustrations of some of the fine national partners that we are working with. Two more Western partners that we work with, and that's the picture that I showed you with the Fulani. Because Jan Banke, European, that's the correct pronunciation of his name, lived and served among the Fulani for a decade. Lived and served among the Fulani for a decade. We asked him, we invited him to ABW, I just wanted to listen and learn from somebody that's been there, done that. It was scheduled for 3 hours. We were ready to shut it down in respect to his time. He was at our office for 8 hours. Wow. He was so excited about ABW's Step of Faith to build a team for the Fulani, which he has a deep love for that work, and it was incredible all that we learned from him on that day. That's going to be an ongoing relationship. One more example of that, Russ Matthews in the center, he's an ABW missionary down under in Australia in the city of Sydney. He and his wife Kathy have been on the field for about 20 years. Before coming to ABWE, he gives his testimony. He said, I was a former drug dealer. Yeah, right. You sold pharmaceuticals for Pfizer. That's what we did in Des Moines, Iowa. But because of that, Russ has the ability, he knows how to connect with business people, and he speaks their lingo. And so he gets to Sydney, and he realizes that Australian Christians have launched, it's in the ABW ministry, it's an Aussie ministry, City Bible Forum. It's a marketplace ministry, downtown Sydney, Australia, and they have an array of ministries that are at lunchtime or after office hours. They're evangelistic, they're disciple making, they're worship, they're connecting with people that would never attend a church, but they'll go to an event. And Russ has been accepted as a Yank into this Aussie ministry, and it is tremendous. One of my favorite things to do when in Sydney is just to shadow that guy and just to watch what's going on. All right, next to him is David Pitt. David is the executive director of City Bible Forum. Their first goal was to get a branch of City Bible Forum. It was only in Sydney for a number of years. They are now in every major metropolitan central business district around Australia. Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, they're in every major city. And we met with them last June, less than a year ago. We were in Cairns, Australia for a regional conference, and David flew up specifically to meet with us to announce, because I've been asking them to do this for years, you have got to take this internationally to cities around the world, and Resource Missionaries were the tool to connect with business people. And David was there to inform us that they're ready. And guess where the first target is? I get chills just building that up. Tokyo, Japan. This is their burden. He hadn't heard me say anything about where we're at. Do you see how God in His sovereignty is just bringing that together? And so they're going to export City Bible Forum from Central Business District in Sydney, Australia, to Tokyo, Japan. A picture of Tokyo, that is the busiest intersection in a city of 37 million people. That's the Shibuya crossing. The main train station is right there. Listen to this. Every 80 seconds, minute and a half. Every minute and a half, there's 5 major arteries that just dump commuters right there. Every 80 seconds, all the traffic lights turn red simultaneously. They all turn red. Every 80 seconds, 3,000 people cross those intersections. How long would it take for 3,000 people to cross the streets of Sydney, Montana? And all of Sydney. Every 90 seconds, 3,000. That just gives you the immensity and the population that are there. And City Bible Forum is soon to land there, and they're going to be providing training for our missionary teams. I'm going down in Malaysia this year. I mentioned that we now have 9 on the field in Malaysia. It's been a great year. They had their first team retreat down below, and this picture's in our prayer letter, and the caption from our field team leader was, they become besties, at their first team retreat, these 2 little kids. Up on the right, his wife, again, I can give you their name, Jason Mansfield and Carrie. Carrie is developing an incredible network. She's calling it Third Space. That's actually pretty popular lingo in the business world. Your first 2 spaces are your residential house where you live and your vocational office where you work. Those are your first and second. Everybody needs a third space where they can relate and connect with people. This is a principle that would be huge in Rachel's ministry from Billings as well. Just to connect with people, a safe place where we can talk and receive answers to issues in life. And Carrie is developing a tremendous network. The heads are not shown because this is a Muslim friend that she's connecting with. They're exchanging numbers. And then down below, they just finished Ramadan a few weeks ago, worldwide in the Muslim world. And you know a little bit about that. That's approximately a month where they pray and they fast. No food or drink is tolerated from sunrise to sunset during Ramadan. And it's very tough for a religious Muslim to abide by the stipulations of Ramadan. It's exhausting. They have to work with no food or drink. Dates are a big part of breaking the fast. That meal is called iftar, I-F-T-A-R, in Muslim lingo, but they typically break it by eating dates either at home at their table or at a restaurant. The Quran, Muhammad talked a lot about trees and dates in their religious book. And so Jason shared this story that, as he went around during Ramadan, you've got security guards that they're just exhausted, they're hungry, and they're dozing, they're in the places of business. You've got baristas at coffee shops that are bored out of their mind because they can't survive, you can't drink during Ramadan. So they're fixing their head coverings and combing one another's hair. And then shortly before sunset, you'll see people going out and boarding taxis and getting to their favorite restaurant. They'll go in and there'll be glasses of water and dates. in the middle of the table, all right? And as soon as the sun goes down, alarms will go off, and the call to prayer from the minarets at the mosques will sound the end of the fast, and that authorizes everyone, you can eat and drink now. And they'll start with dates to get a quick sugar hit and water, and then halal meats and rice and vegetables will be served. So Jason and Carrie conceived of this idea. Let's deliver boxes of dates to our Muslim friends. They are not violating any cardinal doctrine of Scripture. They're relationship building, all right, to break the fast. And as they do so, they get invited by Muslim families to join us for the iftar meal. It's simply a meal that they're breaking their fast for that day. They know that the Mansfields are Christians. They know that the Mansfields have not been fasting. But they are developing a relationship, and here they are showing up at the doorstep with a box of dates, very appropriate for this month on the Muslim calendar. It's brilliant. It's a tool to build a relationship. That's just a little glimpse into what we're doing. I talked about the baseball bats with Riley, and then these events that have all transpired during the past year from Malaysia Field Team. I'm going to jump these just because I've embellished some of those other stories too much. My wife tells me I do that all the time. Jamaica, there a month and a half ago. And here on the left is Gary Marty Crawford from our sending church, our regional director, former Ameritech employee, strategic thinker. And then Don Johnson, right in the front, is the missions chairman at their church. And then Devin Linton is one of our key Jamaican partners who gets it. He has planted churches among the Chinese. He desires to plant churches among Buddhists, Hindus, and Muslims throughout Jamaica. And then our primary partner over in Black River is Pastor Black, Aubrey Black. And it was at his invitation that we came to give that heart, mind, and soul training. We're on the iPhone talking with a lead administrator at the All-American Medical Institute for Health Sciences, who is a Christian. She knows why we want access. And she is committed to run the gauntlet in order to get permission for us to be on the campus to minister. And then we went over to the campus. The lady in the blue scrub, she's a third-year student in the medical college, delightful young lady. That's her mother in the sari. And we talked with 20 students while we were there on campus. And I told my teammates when we left, you know, tonight in the dorms, the buzz is going to be, what were they doing? What do they want? One of the students, the Hindu students that we talked to, I know Black River Baptist Church. I've been there many times. I love to come to your worship services. So there are already some that know about the church, know about the ministry team there. I'm excited for the future. That's our training, our day-long training, Heart, Mind, and Soul, Hindu edition, how to connect, how to share the gospel with Hindus. So that's it. This last year, I've been in the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Jamaica. That picture with the pig, that caused a great stir among the communications department at ABWE. They had a little poll. They took a poll. Okay, is that pig alive? Or has he already met his maker? And I'm here to confirm, because I took the picture, that pig was still very much alive. And within 15 minutes, he was very much dead and being prepared through a mumu, that's what they call it. It's an underground oven, a stone line that they will cook the pork and other vegetables with it. And then when I was in Jamaica a month and a half ago, I had to throw this in just for fun. I stirred up my inner Steve Irwin from the crocodile hunter from down under. We actually met Steve Irwin about 8 months before he was killed in that stingray encounter at the Australia Zoo. We had about 2 or 3 minutes with him, and he asked what we do, and that kind of opened the door to provide a witness to him. But that's it. That's what we do, and we are having a ball at it. Time for just a couple of questions. I'm sure that stirred a lot of thoughts in your mind as we went through it rather rapidly. I want to give you just an overview look at what the Open Initiative is, and then our involvements over the last 16 months, with a lot of that happening here in the last quarter. Any questions at all? We appreciate your investment. Through your support and prayer for Captain Kelly Craig, you have a hand in this. And according to Pauline theology in the book of Philippians, you also have credit that's going to abound to your account because of your investment in this ministry. In ministries like, remind me the name? Forbidden not. Forbidden not. Yep. Any questions? All right, Pastor Mike, thank you. I'm impressed at the endurance. Right through a fellowship meal. In all sincerity, thank you. Thank you so much for your fellowship in the gospel and your investment in our lives. We deeply appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and they'll be out getting ready to leave. They have to go to Billings. They have to catch a flight at 5 o'clock in the morning from Billings. So they'll be leaving, but you might still catch them with the question if you need to. But Stan will have word prayer. Just thank him for being here and sharing with us and continue to keep them in prayer. Father, we just thank you for this day and for the blessing that you've given to us. It seems that Kelly to be here and share about the Open Initiative, and Lord, we just pray that you just continue to bless in that ministry, and Lord, just keep them safe as they travel, and for Rachel also, she'll be heading back to Billings, and Lord, just continue to help us remember that we have a mission field right here in Sidney. Lord, just continue to guide in our lives, that we just have that desire to serve you. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.